Just this last week, I caused myself severe pain. I burnt myself by grabbing a fully heated pot that had just come out of the oven. Now, there was a lot of causes that led up to my pain and my palm becoming the hand equivalent of Two-Face from Batman. But the primary cause of the event was me forgetting that the handles were hot and thus I needed an oven glove. But what caused that? And we can follow that question on and on and on about asking what caused this, what caused that, until we eventually reach the beginning of time. But what caused that? So today we will be discussing the first cause or cosmological argument in this week's edition of my Reasons for God series. I'm Cameron, and this is the Layman Cam. What it do, babies? Welcome to my first ever YouTube series. I've been so excited to make something like this for such a long time. So please do subscribe for some more holy content, and so that way even more of you can share this experience with me. Now onto the argument itself. The first cause, or Kalam Cosmological Argument, was initially established in the 11th century by Muslim philosophers, and they used it as a tool to kind of make sense of Islam to non-believers. One of the biggest proponents of this argument today is Dr. William Lane Craig, one of the most renowned and published modern philosophers. Dr. Craig makes a clear link between the Kalam Cosmological Argument and the existence of God. But what does it actually say? The original argument has three main tenets. The first being whatever begins to exist has a cause. Number two, the universe began to exist. Therefore, number three, therefore the universe has a cause. We can all agree that everything observable has a cause at some point. For example, my severe pain and burn mark had a beginning. We can also say that everything has a cause that was due to something else. Once again, looking at my burn mark, that was caused by me forgetting that the pan was hot. And if we keep asking the question, that being, what caused this, we will eventually hop from my birth to the formation of mankind, to the birth of the planet Earth, and then eventually to the creation of the universe. Everything had a cause that was caused by something else. Something, and by something I mean all of space and all of time as we know it, cannot come from nothing. Let's move on to the second tenet, that being the universe began to exist. Despite what science has said in the past about the universe being eternal, and we came up with theories such as the steady state theory, and also to quote atheistic philosopher Bertrand Russell, the universe is just there and that's all. But within the past decade or so, a slew of evidence shows that in fact the universe had a definite beginning. For example, Edwin Hubble, using redshift theory, observed that galaxies are moving farther away from each other at an increasing speed. Using this evidence along with other evidence, we can say that any universe which has on average been expanding throughout its history cannot be eternal in the past, but must have an absolute beginning. Finally, the third tenet of the universe having a cause is something that is more contentious than the other 2 points. Some say that the Big Bang was a random event that was a result of a timeless and chaotic singularity without a known cause. However, I think this is scientifically and philosophically incomplete. If we agree with the first 2 points, then we have to logically agree with the third point. We ask the question, what caused this physical thing with literally everything? So why do we stop at the physical universe, even if there is only a naturalistic explanation? Which I don't believe there is. What makes me say there is no naturalistic cause to the creation of the universe is when we look at the actual traits to cause the creation of the universe. These traits include something that needs to be spaceless and timeless. The universe cannot cause itself. It must therefore lie beyond the space-time continuum. It also must be immeasurably powerful to give energy to an entire universe. And importantly, it must be immaterial because it existed before a material universe. Now, obviously, these 4 traits vaguely resemble a god, but not very well. This is like a Zoom pub crawl. It's just a completely different thing to an actual pub crawl. Especially when we're talking about a personal higher power, these traits don't bear any resemblance to that. However, let's look more closely at the idea of an immaterial cause. There are only 2 examples of something immaterial having a physical cause. That is mind and abstract ideas. When I think about why I'm such a donkey for not putting an oven glove when I touch the hot pan handle, my thoughts are something immaterial. I can't physically grab onto it, for instance. Yet it can affect a tangible physical cause. For instance, me wearing an oven glove next time I touch a flaming hot pan handle. Flippin' genius. And if you scale this up, to the level of omnipotence, which is the trait that we deem to be a cause of the beginning of the universe, a mind can be the only responsible immaterial cause of a physical universe. Now that we've ascertained that there was a cause to the universe, and that that cause has to be immaterial, we have to think of examples of an immaterial cause, and that being mind and abstract ideas. This attaches a personal label to such a cause and gives it something that resembles a god even better. But what about looking at the universe from a microscopic scale rather than a macroscopic scale? Thus far, we've only looked at the universe from a macroscopic level. But what about the really small stuff? What I'm talking about is quantum mechanics, and this is the study of the really small particles that exist in the universe. Studies of quantum superposition show that event 1 can cause event 2, but yet simultaneously event 2 can cause event 1, and even that respectively events 1 and 2 can pop into existence without any classical cause. This seemingly disproves all three Kalam premises about the nature of causation. This is one of the top counter-arguments against the Kalam Cosmological Argument. It seeks to undermine the nature of causation and therefore the idea of a created universe. However, even when dealing with the seemingly non-causal quantum realm, you do still see certain laws that govern these observations. For example, quantum mechanics still abides by the law of the conservation of energy, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Therefore, the stuff we talk about in quantum mechanics does still come from pre-existing stuff. This means it isn't applicable to the application of the birth of the universe, because in the birth of the universe there was nothing, whereas in quantum mechanics stuff still comes from other stuff. Quantum mechanics is not as such a counter-argument to Kalam, but rather an argument in favor of it. It still proves that something needs to come from something else, and that something cannot arise from nothing. Our three tenets of Kalam still remain intact, logically. But that still begs the question that is on pretty much all of your minds. What caused God? Well, this is another aspect of God that people have wrestled with over the years, and that is God being causeless. And for a God to be causeless, he has to be timeless, therefore. And this idea is ubiquitous in religious scripture. For example, in my belief, Christianity, God is described as neither having a beginning nor an end in Hebrews chapter 7, verse 3. And we see this elsewhere in religious texts. Who knew the story of a burn could help explain the existence of a personal God? The traits of the cause of the beginning of time lead us to some of the many character traits of a personal higher power. The three tenets of the cosmological argument that use the idea of cause and effect point us in this direction. However, this still leaves us with a very foggy picture of God. But thankfully, this created universe still does reveal more traits about God. Like a piece of art reveals the character traits of the artist when we look at the beautifully created fine-tuned cosmos. And that is what we'll be exploring next week when we look at the fine-tuning argument. Cool. Hope to see you guys there. And remember, always leave room for Jesus. Peace!